leave it to the professionals.
Last by Bundy, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been golden when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like LeBron James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Refuse not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum entities. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a
Body.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Breaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain GM. Thanks so much for joining. Appreciate y'all being here. Shout out to Grand Rising over Web3 Warhead in the YouTube chat. Abstracts also live. Teacher Katie, our reigning community member of the month, over there dropping the GMs. It is February, so new challenge begins today. There's no points to farm. It's all a big mystery how you secure the community member of the month. But appreciate y'all, all those reposts, bookmarks, and everything is greatly appreciated. It's not going unnoticed out there. As always, I'm Cap. Never any financial advice in the show. It's all risky, especially in markets like this. Please do your own research and don't leave your longs or shorts open for that matter. Hopefully we get that Monday morning bounce here on Coffee with Captain. Little bit of cold open, like literal cold open this morning. It is quite frigid here in Florida. We like teetering on the freezing line. It's 32 degrees or 0 Celsius. And I didn't think it was exploding shower doors cold, but apparently it is. Was sitting I can't even make it up. Sat down, not like a big afternoon TV enjoyer or movies or anything. It's usually I won't turn on the TV until like 8 o'clock at night when I get in bed, and then I'm usually asleep before the first episode or the movie is over. In fact, I can't tell you last time I watched a complete movie start to finish. Anyways, yesterday I had a little break in the day, sat down in the couch in the living room, just said, it's quiet, lazy Sunday afternoon. And minutes later, hear this explosion, like a literal explosion, and like, what was that? And go in the bathroom and discover an exploded shower door, glass shower door. Don't know how this happens. Never seen anything like it before. But yeah, the door, actually, I say the door survived. It's still there, as you can see, but the glass shower just spontaneously combusted. I don't know. Like, it's not that cold. I mean, it was probably like low 60s in the house. I did actually turn on the heat for the first time this morning, just to keep it above that 60-degree mark. But now I'm like hot and sweating because the heat, and I already feel like I'm dried out. It makes me appreciate living in Florida even more. Just give me flashbacks to how the winters would just dry out my skin in the Midwest and just not enjoyable. Feeling that this morning a little bit, but not going to complain. I fortunately was not in the shower, and it was just a mess to clean up. And we'll get the Hungarian glass guy will be out here this week to replace it. But anyways, interesting weekend there. Interesting Sunday. I don't know what to make of this. I don't know what sign this is for your markets today. I don't know if this means we explode to the north, if we explode south. I really don't know. But if anyone is any of the stars, the astrology people out there can translate what an exploding glass shower means for markets, I am willing to open up a long or short. You tell me which way to go. I saw Jack Flip on stage here. We'll get to Jack in a second. One thing I find really interesting is the like all markets are getting hammered. It's not just Bitcoin or crypto. I mean, everything but hyperliquid is getting hammered. But all markets, for the most part, are down pretty bad. I mean, gold has erased $1,100 in like 3 trading days. Silver down 40% in 3 trading days. So a lot of people are like, oh, well, Bitcoin and crypto hasn't kept up with gold and silver. Kind of has. Actually, it's outperformed it if you look since the bottom of 22. And it took Bitcoin like 4 months to erase 40% of its market, whereas silver took three trading days. Pretty incredible. What is really interesting to me, and I really don't know what to make of it, but I don't ever remember. I mean, we could probably overlay the charts and find out the exact time, but at least since I've like paid attention to them, I don't ever remember seeing such a difference in the fear and greed charts. Crypto fear and greed, extreme fear at 15. Last week we were double this. We were almost 30. Conversely, and maybe it's just lagging a little bit, but conversely, the stock market fear and greed index is at 57. It's in greed. So you got stocks in greed, crypto in extreme fear. And all I know is this, is every time we've hit extreme fear, it's been a good time to buy. I'm pretty sure this holds up. Now, you would need to sell the pumps because it will come back at some point. But I really don't know what to make of the market. I hope everyone's okay. I guess my first and foremost is I kid you not, I luck boxed into closing my longs whatever the first day of the Burb claim was. I had a few longs open and closed them with the full intent, copper being one of them, but closed them with the full intent to short Burb at TGE, and it wasn't, not realizing it wasn't, because I saw some people were shorting it. Long story short, it was perps are open on MEX, but not on any of not on Hyperliquid or Lighter where I trade perps, and so I just closed the short, closed the longs, didn't reopen them, and so yeah, the Burb TGE, while I finally got my claim through this morning, it actually did save me quite a bit of money because it didn't force close them. I closed my longs with the intent to short Burb. I still would like to short it. I just saw someone tweet out like something's way off if you look at market caps or fully diluted value, where Burb is still at like north of 200 million. I haven't checked. Let me double check this morning, make sure my numbers are right. Burb is still at 230 FDV. Circulating market cap's only 65. This thing's going, I mean, unless something changes, we'll get into the numbers here in a bit, but like the claims are, I'm not fudding the team. I'm not fudding Spencer. I'm just commentating on the data that is real data. It's on chain. It's price action. Like I'm just commentating on the data. I can't remember another claim being so few claimed. I'll pull up the numbers here in a second, but there's an extreme amount of Moonbirds. I haven't even claimed their tokens yet. And this thing is like, at first I thought when it opened, like, oh, this will trade below 200 million. I think this thing is heading for double digits. I don't, unless something major changes. I think a lot of people actually claimed and inadvertently nested or played the Verb game without knowing what they were doing, because it just, the site sucked. Technically sucked. It was not clear. And while I do appreciate the game and the game theory, I mentioned that on the other day, I'm glad to give us something to do with our tokens other than just sell. I think these tokens, those that haven't sold, are likely just to dump this. I don't think people are going to play this game long term. I think some maybe played it the first round. I think there's a lot of holders out there that are will probably insta dump as soon as they claim, that just haven't got around to claiming yet or haven't been able to claim yet. And I would be max shorting this now. In fact, I don't have an account with max. I'm considering, if we don't get it on Hyperliquid or Lighter or Trade XYZ or one of these other perp dexes this week, I may actually move some funds over to max solely with the intent to short Burr, because it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for the current, other than all the sellers haven't claimed their tokens yet. I could go on. I'm sure I'll come back to it here in a second. I am going to pull up some more data to support my take here, so you don't think it's just me fudding. I'm not fudding a team. I'm shorting a chart, shorting price action, and the data that we have. You look, the circulating supply is only 28%, and that said, it's not even really 28%, because of the 285 million Burb, there's a large portion of that still has not been claimed. So while it, quote unquote, circulating, because it's in claim wallets to be claimed, so it appears it's claimable, or it appears it's circulating, but it's not really circulating yet. It's not really circulating until the end holders claim it, and I think a lot of them are going to dump. And if you just compare this to other tokens, whether it be, I don't know, Reccoin, or if you want to look at NFT specific ones, probably the better comparable is look at something like, Pingu is north of this. The ApeCoin token is like half of this price, not quite, but way less. And it's, from an NFT standpoint, it's not even close. Like Burbs are, let's just say 1 ETH, Apes are 5 ETH. And I know it's not a pure 1-to-1, but it doesn't make any sense why Burb would be trading about 2x out of ApeCoin, where we know what ApeCoin is. We also know, while it's further down its life cycle, the sell pressure is nearly over. Like the DAO is done. There's no more grants, and all most of the staking's done. Most of the team vest is done. Like the sell pressure on Ape is almost done. Where this is just getting started. Not only do we have a lot more to claim, but there's another 65% of this token that is basically sell pressure. This thing is going, I don't, unless something major changes, unless there's some big announcement, I have a hard time believing this token is staying north of 100 million full FDV. And I am, as soon as I can, I'll be opening a long-term short, not a short-term one. I'll open a long-term short where there's no risk of short-term liquidation, because I do expect them. I do believe they have market makers. I do believe the market makers are probably holding this line. If you see the sell-off, lower the pump, a sell-off, and then it's this, I believe, I'm guessing, I don't know, this is just me speculating, I'm guessing market makers have their buy orders in at 200 million FDV, and every time it touches that number, they buy up. They can't do this forever. Like, this is only a short-term game, and once they stop protecting that wall, it's Jover. Like, this thing is, it's just the launch. I can't remember a launch going this poorly. I'm not picking on the team. I'm not knocking them. The sentiment's really bad. Someone shared earlier a post about, what are you doing with your Burb? And like the top 10 replies were, I'm still trying to claim it. Like, these are just, those claimers, I believe, translate most of them to dumpers. And it sucks. It sucks for the Moonbird team. Put a lot of time into this and tried to time the market well. They delayed TGE because of market conditions, and ultimately, I don't know. You probably couldn't have launched at a worse time as far as the market's concerned in the last, since Spencer acquired. I think he probably, and again, it's not, you don't know. It's really hard to time this stuff up perfectly. And like, since they TGE'd, I mean, Bitcoin's down double digits. Like, I think we were close to like 90K. We were like chopping around 90K TGE day. And now Bitcoin is, hoping to get back to 80. And everything else is getting nuked other than, like I said, Hyperliquid and a few others. Some memes are holding strong, but for the most part, markets are tanking. And not only does it make me sad for Verb and the Moonbirds team, it causes concern for Mega ETH, which is public mainnet goes live in a week. Now it's not TGE. I know there's some confusion out there. People think that TGE is the 9th. I don't, maybe it is. I don't, they've not said that. And at this point, I would be surprised if they TGE a week from today. But you also have a lot of other big claims. I mean, we're talking, there's like 40 plus, real teams that have been waiting for perfect market conditions to TGE. And boy, oh boy, I bet a lot of them wish they would have done it in Q4 now. Like I just, this is the risk in waiting is, yes, markets can improve, but they also get a hell of a lot worse. And I don't notice that there any team out there that wants to be dropping a token in extreme fear market conditions. Jack, what say you? GM.
GM, Cap. GM. I haven't got the mic on today, so hopefully I'm coming through okay.
Yeah, we got you.
The phone. Awesome. Well, look, yeah, I'm kind of with you. I don't see, in terms of short term, until there's like further announcements, how this thing sustains the levels it's at. The game, interesting. I don't know how the unclaiming works for the game.
It's hard. It's also like just very clunky. Like, I don't know. Like, I had my Burb that was on Solana from the Soulbound tokens, and I claimed and I did play the game with that. And then I had my Burb that was due to my Mythic, and I nested, was supposed to be able to claim some of that, but that wasn't available, and it shows that I don't have any to claim yet. I'm
that's exactly where I'm at with my whole Moonbird. Like, it just shows, I'm nested, but I've never been able to claim any bird from it.
Yep. It's not that deep for me, but I can't imagine if someone was sitting on 10, 20, 30, 40 Moonbirds and bought them with the intent to claim this. And it's just like, it is, again, I'm not picking on them. I'm sure there's been worse. I'm absolutely certain there's been worse. I've not been paying attention to any, or I've not been involved in any claims, at least related to NFT PFPs, where the team launched a token that played out this bad. I don't want to say it was just executed this bad. I know there's a lot of variables involved, but yeah, this thing has just been a train wreck from the launch, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be really getting much better.
Yeah, look, I think one thing that's going through my head is how many of these birds are just inactive now. I feel like Moonbirds attracted a really random type of NFT holder. And some of them were big pockets who've just like set them and forget them.
Maybe. So hold on. You're saying since like the beginning of Moonbirds or since Spencer acquired? Because I felt there was a lot of turnover in that collection once Spencer acquired it. My impression is like the majority of that base was individuals who's come in since Spencer acquired. But you think there's still a lot of like holdovers that just, they minted this thing, they came in because of K-Row and have just completely forgot about it.
Yeah, so I know a couple who are whales who are exactly in that position, like at least a couple hundred. That just, they exist. They're still alive if the token does really well, but they've just sort of left them in wallets that they just don't even use anymore. I honestly, I don't even know if they're in wallets they can access anymore. So there is that, but that's not like that. It's not even. It definitely is NFA. I should say, but the way the game works is all unclaimed tokens go towards the game and get redistributed to the gamers. So it's not even like, that's going to be a long-term build-up for it. I'm wondering if that's like a month where they can't do it this time round because they've given 7 days to claim, which means that, if the game is played, especially with the technical issues that the team have had, I think it would just be way too complicated to be like, okay, on this day, on this minute, we redistribute. I can definitely see that being held off for a month. Also, just strategically, that makes sense. I don't know if they also have like a time period they've got to do that. So, if all the unclaimed Moonbirds from this time round, I doubt they're just going to go, okay, we're going to dump that on the holders who've played the first month of games. I think that will be like a pool that they will continually, redistribute
I agree.
for the people playing the game.
I wholeheartedly. I do not think all that's getting distributed on the very first month. I think they'll drag it out for a long time. And here's a chart I was referencing comparing the two. You look at Ape FTV is 145 million, Burb is 227. Yet the NFTs are 5 times the price. So this presents either Burb is extremely overpriced or Ape should be 5x higher. Probably somewhere in between.
Moonbirds is rising though, like it is.
What's
it is seeing like sales, and it is going up from mint. I mean, not from mint. Sorry, from the previous floor after the drop.
The Moonbirds NFT.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It's at 1.04, up 12% on the day.
I saw 1.3, so maybe it's already
it does. Like I'm not saying.
Oh yeah, no, it's already slipped. So yeah, look at that point. Let's just ignore that. But yeah, look, I think for me, obviously, I've done this podcast. I am like Cap. You know this from back in the day. I am definitely on the more bullish sentiment for projects who are just still trying, still here.
My brother from another mother.
Yeah, dude, like absolutely. But I do like I'll be dropping it either today or tomorrow. You can go see it now. It's on the main podcast, but there is a clip right at the end. It's like 5 minutes of Spencer basically talking through his theory of why he's acquired Moonbirds and how well the TCG does, which brings in millions.
Yeah, but here's where I get like that's awesome. But where I get hung up with is I don't see any connection to the Vibes TCG with Burb or Moonbirds. And I know it doesn't, I mean, actually it does go direct, like the success that Rec Drinks is having, they're at least taking 10% of the revenue and buying token. Like I'm not saying like holders should get dividends. I'm not saying turn this thing into a security, but like make some connection. Like I'm actually really surprised we haven't seen any sort of tie because he has a real business, right? Like he's claiming, we're going to do $1 billion in revenue.
Yeah,
crazy goal, but that's awesome. What's that mean for holders?
That I'm sharing, it does very much correlate those two things. So, basically his whole thesis about the TCG game and the acquisition of Moonbirds as a brand and an IP is due to the fact that the TCG is doing so well, and they need an IP that is their own IP that they own to fulfill the success of this thing. It can only win on orders of magnitude against the IP. So Pudgies did it first, but they don't own that brand. So I do think there are plans, but again, non-financial advice. But if you watch this clip that I'll release either today or tomorrow, the market, everyone's just talking about market being down. I just don't know whether it's even worth dropping it today. But people can just go to the timestamp. I think it's like one of the final timestamps about Moonbird acquisition. Like I do fully foresee that Spencer's whole plan around the TCG is to grow the brand through the IP of Moonbirds.
Well, Joey,
that's the sentiment he shares.
Joey, we'll get you in a second. Jack, I'm curious though, do you think like there's two hypotheticals? One, I mean the three. Things could just chop. Floor could go up, the price of the token go up, or it could go down. And the NFTs could go down, the tokens could go down. I was referencing some of the numbers. I put up a post from Raven Ape here. He says claims appear to be pretty wide open for Burb, and the claim numbers are looking pretty awful. Only 35% of Moonbirds have claimed their first month allo and nested. And only 51% of oddities and mythics have claimed. That leaves a massive 7.5 million Burb unclaimed as a potential prize pool for Burb Game 1. Moonbird floor did go up, as you mentioned, from 0.8 to 0.1 to 1.08, which essentially has given anyone who hasn't nested yet a free 3.3 months of value without having to lock up your assets for a month. At the end of the day, it all boils down to the value of Burb. Current track record is not great. Thus, the Moonbird team is not to be trusted, not to fumble anything else. Oh, wait, they already have, but we'll get that shared later. My question for you is, if things go well, yeah, it could be a great tie-in to the Moonbird IP. But if Burb, let's just say this thing goes from 240 to 80 million market cap on Burb, and the floor price dips back below 1, and people lose like, what sort of impact does that have on their Vibes TCG for the Moonbird brand? And I can't imagine it's great. Like maybe it's fine, but it definitely doesn't help if you lose sentiment. Because I have to imagine the reason that a lot of these NFT native IPs do well is they have a raving fan base. As Steve mentioned it, part of like the raving fan base is when you're making your holders money, like it or not. It's just the reality of the space. It's much easier to curate a army of brand ambassadors when they're excited about the tokens they're holding. And when a thing keeps bleeding out, they're not nearly as likely to go buy your next blind box or your next Vibes TCG.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think there's even a part in the interview where he says every piece of momentum, every part of the momentum that they have got is dependent on the success of the next thing.
Oof.
You know, so you know, any deals that you're striking, any long-term commitments that you're striking is based on the fact that they made millions from the initial launch, but they're only as good as the next best product. So whether the token itself is seen from an investment vehicle point as like, no, that was a big failure. If it does go down, we can't touch the next product now, or whether there is a decoupling from at least the physicals to the token, which I would assume if you were at all accustomed to looking at this space, then there would be a decoupling there, like purely just based. It really doesn't correlate to what you can do in the real world, to what you can do with a token. But yeah, I don't think there is no pressure on Spencer and the team to ensure that in the long term this thing succeeds. I do think that history, you know, if you look at Doodles and you look at Azuki with anime, like if you look at these other 2022/2021 projects that were like really up there in the last bull, and you look at their token price, to go to 80 million market cap isn't necessarily the L that people think it is. I remember Doodles, like I can't remember where that went, but it wasn't very high to begin with. Like it was, you know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I disagree. I think it does. I think some of these cases is the death nail. Like I think after Dude and the performance there, and there's no utility. Like I mean,
No,
not only is the NFT went to like 0.4, like they're not even selling out their vinyl drops. Like those vinyl drops, you sell it almost instantly. It's like I think it had a severe negative impact on the brand and their ability to sell into their base. I think a lot of people take their ball and go home.
Into their base, absolutely, Cap. What I'm saying is there's a separate base out there, and that's institutional, and that's
Is there, though?
company. Yeah, because look, they literally, after that drop, their next announcement was the cereal brand, like Fruit Loops. You know, like, and there's multiple talks since then with animations. They're talking with studios, all of these things. So yeah, I think there is a slight separation. Now, I haven't heard anything from Doodles since the Fruit Loops drop. So whether that was something that was on the cards previously,
I think it was.
You know, it just took a long time to get over the line, which would make sense for a corporation that big. Dead, you know, that could be something. But I'm hesitant to believe when the IP is succeeding externally, like on short forms or in terms of reception, in terms of how those partnerships do for those brands as well. You know, point to McDonald's and the world, you know, basically the whole US when it was initially supposed to be a specific area of the US. Look at Fruit Loops, and you know, I think if they are doing well, that's what's being taken to new collaborations. It's not, hey, look at our token. That's just my sort of thoughts on that.
Fair thoughts. I just don't know if it did well. Vibe, we don't know. No info's been shared. I don't think it went wide. I think it was holders bought, and I even know a lot of holders who passed on that one. Like I don't know as if it did well.
What, Vibe TCG?
No, the Doodles Fruit Loops thing.
Oh yeah.
Vibes TCG, the interesting take here from Dort. Joe, you're on deck. He says, Vibes TCG is where it is because the Pudgy IP, hard to replace that with random OWL IP and expect the same level of success in his humble opinion. Vibes TCG may be where it's at because of the Pudgy IP. Hard to just replace a random new OWL IP and expect the same level of success. Godspeed to that. Are Pudgy holders going to support Vibes TCG if it's 100% Moonbirds? Interesting to think about. And then worth noting, since we're talking Vibes and Pudgies and the tie-in with Orange Cap Games and Moonbirds, Orange Cap Games sold their lot of Pudgies. Spencer and Orange Cap famously acquired the Three Arrows Capital bag of Pudgy Penguins back in October of 2022, which at the time, well, not at the time. I mean, Moonbirds went on Pudgies went on a crazy run following that. Looked like maybe the trade of the century. I think these things ripped from like 5 ETH up to 30 ETH, and then obviously Pingu claim. I'm sure the fund did fine on the Pingu claim, but just yesterday or over the weekend, it was announced that he sold all those Pudgy Penguins to Adam Weitzman, and their deal terms wasn't disclosed, but the current floor price is below what they bought them for. So you want to talk about like an all-time round trip. I'm sure the fund has done very good. I'm sure Spencer's made a lot of people a lot of money, but it's just wild to look back and think that like that was, I'm old enough to remember that being like applauded as one of the best trades ever. And at the end of the day, they sold below what they bought them for. Now, and I'm sharing that because there's probably a lot of, this isn't like grave dancing. There's a lot of people who are probably down bad. You've round tripped or you got liquidated. There's a fund that was largely regarded, at least as far as the NFT natives, one of the most successful, couldn't miss, and they round tripped a huge bag. You also have Tom Lee, who's down 6.9 billion. It's about the only time 6.9 isn't a good meme is when you're down 6.9 and there's a B after it. Bitmine is down 6.9 billion after top blasting ETH around 4K. So if you're down bad, you're not down that bad. I know for a fact. I rarely speak in absolutes, or at least attempt not to. I'm certain, 99.99% certain, that none of you are down 6.9 billion in the last year. Joey, GM, if you're down 6.9 billion, you've hid your wealth for me very well.
If I was worth 6.9 billion, I love you guys. I wouldn't be here in the mornings. Sorry.
It'd be Cockpit Captain sponsored by. We'd have a few less vowels in our a few more vowels in our title if it was.
I would definitely sponsor. If I was worth 6.9 billion, I'd sponsor Coffee with Captain just for the shits and giggles because I love you guys. So I was able to claim. So I'll walk through my process because you were talking earlier about how how the process works. So I was able to claim. It did take me clicking the claim button multiple times. And when I mean multiple, I mean I had to come back a couple hours at a time and click claim, and it finally went through. But here's the part where I could see where people made a mistake, is that when you went to claim, below this was explained to me in the Discord, which was not explained from all of where I was looking for information, was not explained. When you go to the claim site, there's two different claims. So the first claim is all of the claims for the SBTs and all that other stuff, right? So the page is kind of divided in half. When you scroll down, you'll see the burb game. If you don't specifically click a button at the very bottom of the page that says claim to wallet, if you just click claim, you're claiming directly to the burb game. And it's distributed automatically equally across the 4 different burb characters. So let's say you had 1,000 burb to claim via SBTs and all that stuff. That's on the left side of the square. If you just click claim, it claimed that 1,000 SBT, got distributed 250 burb to each of the 4 burbs for the burb game. If you scrolled past the burb game, there was a little button on the bottom right that said claim to wallet. If you clicked that 1,000 burb would have been claimed directly to your wallet versus claiming it to the burb game. So I was lucky enough that I saw that, because I'm not interested in playing the burb game. I know there's going to be all this free burb going out to people and whatever, but to me, it isn't really a game. You're just it was like if the first burb beats the second burb, then the third burb beats the second burb in voting or whatever. I don't know. It was just, to me, that's not a game. So, and I wasn't interested in locking up my $500.
I will give them some credit. It's game theory. I enjoyed it. To me, is it perfect? No, but I like the fact I have to give credit where it's due, and I like the fact that I've said for most of these NFT PFP token drops is they don't do anything. It's like, here's your claim, go sell it, or just cross your fingers and pray to the crypto gods that it doesn't go down. Which I think it's safe to say 100% of the NFT PFP tokens that had nothing to do with that there was no sinks or there was no use case, no utility whatsoever. I think probably 100% of them are down. Probably. I'm not saying for sure, but the only ones that had any sort of pump there was real utility. I'm not going to go back and relitigate the 6 activations that ApeCoin had within the first month of dropping their token and how well that drop was executed. But even Pingu, even today, you're still getting something for holding your tokens on Abstract. I do want to give them credit. Something is better than nothing. I think had they not had the issues with the tech, and had it been a little more clear, I think the game would maybe play out differently. And I guess here's the other thing. Someone said over the weekend, I think it was actually Steve talking about Claudebot, that tough UI, bad UI, UX is bullish because so few people are playing the game now. It is really bullish for those that are playing, because if everyone had claimed, what they said was, if you split evenly and you did, I got 1,000 tokens basically. So if I put 250 on each, it was going to be plus EV, because 2 of them were going to double their tokens and 2 would lose. I didn't do that. You can see here I split. If you want to get on Team Pip and Team Zin, those are the 2 that I thought would have been the most under allocated. I think Burb is probably going to get the most play the game. Honestly, I don't know how the game works, but anyways, I just split them between.
I mean, I was, to the point of the game cap, I was hoping it was going to be something like interactive, right? Like where it wasn't just like allocate your.
I hear you, but I think part of that interaction is sometimes less is more, and it's like, because once you start going interactive, then you start getting compared to like Roblox or Fortnite, and it's like, just make it a simple game theory game, like just clicking buttons, but add some game theory to it. I'm a fan of this style of game. I just think if they could do it over again, they probably would have done some more stress testing. The UI would have been a little better. And I take no issue. I hear you. Personally, it's all opinion. I take no issue with the style of game. I just think the execution's been pretty poor. The other thing, Jack, Joe, I'm going to go right back to you. I just want to show something real quick, because I think this is important. The things that jump out to me is, keep in mind how many soulbound tokens they did. A lot. Like, basically, if you were paying attention, if you were in the space, you could have claimed some burb. There was I'm pretty sure, far more than 14,064 holders of burb SBTs. Right now, the number of holders for the burb token is only 14,000 holders. It's not much at all. Like, so not only have not many people claimed, I'm guessing, like, I think that I appreciate they did something new. Right, I think it started with Pingu, and they said, "Hey, if you have a Solana wallet and you've done any activity, you can claim some Pingu." Worked. It worked for them. Pudgy has 537,000 holders. The Soulbound token was a different step. I think at the claim process, it's been a little easier. You probably have more than 14,000 holders. 14,000 is not that much, and that thing can go. I mean, it's like a fresh meme coin, basically. You know, I was talking to Ape, so just so you see the full comparison, they've got 185,000 holders. Although I believe that number is not all inclusive. So I'm not sure it includes everyone that's holding on a tier 1 exchange. I think this is just in DeFi. Anyone can correct me if I'm wrong there. But you're talking well over 100,000 holders for Ape and Pingu. Burb has 14,000. Not much at all. I guess on the bright side of that is there's not many sellers. The chart is much easier to support when you only have at max 14,064 holders that can dump into this chart. And you've got a large portion in the team wallet. You've got some market makers out there. And it just very clear to me, if you look at the chart, I'll show up one more time. And then Joey, I'll hand it back to you when I pull up the chart here. Actually, I'm going to hand it back to Joey, and I'm going to go refill my coffee. So Joey and Jack, you've got the mic for at least 60 seconds. But look at this chart. Like, you don't have to be a TI expert to tell me what line is being protected. Like, it's very, very, very clear this 200 million FTV is getting bought up every time it hits there. I'm not saying go channel trade this or swing trade this, but for a token that's in its first week, this maybe is one of the easier charts to trade we've seen in a while, because the volatility is pretty limited. It's not ripping up that high, and like the bottom's 200 million for now. Now, at some point, that's gonna, like, the market makers can't do this forever. But this is also, I don't have any inside info. Maybe it's just pure coincidence. I'm pretty certain it's market makers protecting the $200 million floor. And I don't know. I said I want to short this thing. I may flip and go long. I may just trade the game as soon as I would really like it live on a perp dex I trade on. That way I don't have to go open a new account. But if like say today it goes live on Hyperliquid, I will be longing it at 200 million. And then I don't know. Like, then it's a guess. Then probably close it at 220, 230, and then flip to short until it goes back to 200 million, and then flip to long. Like, I do think you could swing trade this thing pretty easily based on what we're seeing in terms of the chart here, in the week following launch. Joey, go back ahead, and then Joey, Jack, and I saw Mosher jumped up as well. If you guys don't mind guest co-hosting while I go for the coffee, I'd appreciate it.
Joey. Yeah, the only other thing that for me from a user experience, user interface, which I think they should have done, would have been very similar to what Pengu did, which was when you claimed, they showed you that what you were getting credit for. So I had 4 oddities. I had some SBTs on ETH. I had SBTs on Sol. I bought the vinyls and redeemed those SBTs. Like I had a bunch of stuff. Probably not, not a ton, right? But I had a bunch of stuff, and I honestly had no idea what any of it was worth to see if like, and maybe people, it doesn't matter to other people, but to see the $250 I spent on the vinyls, like just for my own personal knowledge, like what did I get for that, right? I redeemed 12 of the, I scanned 12 of those QR codes for the vinyls. So I think that was also a small miss, was telling people like I think it was like 1,300 burb from all the SBTs and stuff, which was about $500, I think. But I have no idea what that breakdown was. So I think that was a small miss, was not telling people the breakdown. And then the last thing I want to comment on real quick, which you were talking about, Jack, which was like, the IP and the TCG and all that stuff like that. So I understand Orange Cap Games, and we talked about this last week too. Orange Cap Games is the parent company or whatever it is of Moonbirds and Pudgy Penguins. And Dort had a great comment, which Cap read out about, the Pudgy Penguins IP itself is probably what really pushed that brand as well. But obviously their knowledge in the space. I'm still not understanding, and maybe it'll become clear. Like, I just don't see a connection on how they could even link the success of Vibes TCG to Moonbirds. It doesn't make sense if they would say like, oh yeah, because Vibes is becoming a top 10 TCG in the world, that means whatever we do with Moonbirds is going to be successful. I don't see that happening. I think they need to figure out what the plan is with Moonbirds. If it's going to be launch a TCG, I'm okay, fine, right? Are they going to license from holders the same way they licensed from holders with Pudgy Penguins, right? Are you able to submit your oddities, your mythics, and your Moonbirds through a portal similar to Pudgy Penguins? Then they're going to pick those, and then there's some type of royalty paid based on the ones that they choose. I find it hard to say, like, because we have momentum and success with this, that means we're going to have success with this, and it's all correlated together. Because to me, there's no overlap in the communities. To your point, Jack, a lot of the people that owned Moonbirds and bought Moonbirds that are probably still holding their Moonbirds are not Pudgy people. Those were art collectors that wanted to be part of, Kevin Rose's proof and, all that stuff like that. And maybe that's changed now that Spencer bought it, but I don't see a big overlap between the Pudgy community and the Pudgy people that supported Vibes and the people that are in the Moonbirds community.
Yeah, Jack, we'll get you in here for a response. Before I forget, though, I do want to shout out all my audio testers over the weekend, especially Hizzy, who I think hopped into spaces 4, 5, 6 times. Jack, enjoy. Actually, all of you on stage could appreciate. I will. I'll cover this real quick. So this is cold open material, but probably that bared with us on Friday. You owe an explanation. You deserve an explanation at least. So I switched from the Rodecaster Pro 2 to a Duo. The power button went on my first one, and I'm shipping it off for repair. I needed a backup. I like the Duo. I like the smaller footprint. Maybe what broke the shower door or the shower wall, the shower glass, was my screaming at the top of my lungs. I didn't really scream, but I was losing my mind. Like, I was on full tilt because I troubleshooted everything I possibly could. I got on the phone with Chris Flyride, who is like the Rodecaster guru on the planet. Like, I think he probably knows more about Rodecaster audio than anyone else on the planet. It's just a very, as it relates to streaming and X spaces, it's a super hyper niche. There's like, I mean, right now there might be 37 of us left in the world, but it's a super, super niche segment of Rodecasters. I mean, Rodecaster used by DJs and audiophiles, and there's a few of us that use it because it's the best tool to connect to X spaces and live stream. Anyways, long story short, I tapped in all the experts, went through everything. I unplugged everything, plugged it all, everything I could do, and it just was not. It actually got worse, like to the point once on Saturday, Sunday testing, they could hear the gas, but no one could hear me. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? My childhood, I should have reverted to my roots because my childhood it had the answer. I kid you not. After all the testing back and forth, wouldn't you believe it? What fixed it is I unplugged it. I blew on it, plugged it back in, and it all worked. I think what happened was I just needed to restart the Rodecaster, restarted the Mac, and something in the cache was, or maybe it was my phone, like either X on my phone or my MacBook or the Rodecaster. Something had bad cache. I know this is really technically expertise here, technical expertise, calling it had bad cache, but something CACHE, that kind of cache. Something was stored bad. Something was trying to do something that it's not supposed to do. And so everything was plugged in correctly, but because it wasn't working, I kept trying different things. And I was like, what in the, and then I was talking to AI and AI doesn't know this. It's tapping in. It's tapping into what it knows on what it can find online, and it's not accurate. So it's telling me the wrong shit. Anyways, it felt like 4 hours. I think it was probably like 90 minutes. I was troubleshooting back and forth and testing this thing. Long story short, I had it right the whole time. I just had to power it off, blow on it, and power it back in. So yeah, if you ever it's still to this day, it's the year 2026. If something's not working, the first thing you should do for troubleshooting is power it down, wait 30 seconds, power it back on. It works for your wireless internet router. It works for your MacBook. It works for your Rodecaster, X video spaces. So anyways, we figured it out. Not really, but it works now. So I'm not gonna jinx it. But anyways, go ahead. I think I was at Jack. I lost my train of thought on my someone reminded me on my weekend from, it was actually not a bad weekend, but it went from like, oh, it's gonna be I'm gonna hang some pictures, set up the back wall a little bit, do some light work, get this thing, I'll do some troubleshooting. It'll take me like 20 minutes. And then I go from that to go sitting down and like, all right, the rest of Sunday is going to be quiet. We'll take a little nap, maybe even to my shower exploding. Needless to say, the markets couldn't phase me this weekend. Go ahead, Jack. Jack, it's yours if you're there.
Oh, thank you. You cut out right at the end there. Excuse me. Yeah, look, I just to Joey's point, I think it really just goes down to the fact that Spencer acquired this IP to connect to Vibe CCG. To Dort's point about, does Vibes get anywhere near the success with a random owl IP in comparison to, one of the strongest IPs that we have in this space, even to this date? It's a good question. I think you have to understand Spencer's knowledge and experience in the TCG world. Like, he's like one of the biggest traders of Magic the Gathering and has been for, decades at this point. His success in NFTs follows that. So yeah, I don't know is the answer to that question. My gut feeling from the conversation we had is that he has a very, very good team set up specifically to succeed with whatever TCG that they launch. And I think the Moonbirds IP, although is supposed to be a crutch that they can lean on, because it is one of the OG IPs, and ironically, Jack, who was doing like 5 million impressions over the weekend, just did a clip about how Spencer connects the comic book era to the 2021 era of comics. Basically, the IPs in comic books, they all come from a very specific era, like Superman, the Marvels, all of these things, DC, Marvel. And his gut reaction was that was 2021, 2022, your Azukis, your Moonbirds, and Moonbirds was basically the only one left. Your Apes, obviously, even Cool Cats, I guess, to a degree. That's really the math you're doing, is can this team success just in the TCG world? If they do success in the TCG world, he speaks very openly about acquiring that IP specifically to succeed with TCG. So I think there's definitely a correlation there. But yes, can they do it without a Pudgy? My bet is yes. Not financial advice, but like I do think how they look at competitions, how they look at the TCG world more deeply, and the background that these guys have, I think they're about as good as anyone at like succeeding with any TCG at this point, and just being able to leverage an IP that, you know, it's not a random owl, right? Like it is an owl with a lot of lore and history in the crypto space. I think we would like to see that come back, and I think any hints of Moonbirds coming back will rally the troops quite aggressively. I think if they do succeed, like we all love dumping on a terrible experience in 2026 when we really should be past that. But I think if they start making the right moves and succeeding with those moves, I do think the majority of Web3 will just be like, thank God we got a better arc to this story where Cairo basically just, you know, gets a W and turns it into an L.
I hope so. I'm with you. I hope to see that. I think it'd be good for not just Burrs, but the space at large. My genuine concern is while they're separate, right? Like, does the Burb TGE directly correlate to the future success of Vibes? No, not directly. Indirectly, I think it absolutely does. And when even when you say like, oh, the team, I think there's now at minimum there's doubt in the team. Whereas a few months ago, I don't think there was much doubt. Like the team was. It's just like it is. I'll tell you one thing that this has convinced me to do. I will never drop a token. We've talked. If I do, it's only to qualify for some claim or to get access to some streaming. Like if you're leading an NFT brand and you drop a token, like the amount of pressure and added, I don't know what to call it, like pressure it puts on the team is just tremendous, and it's hard. It's hard to execute, and I think now there's baggage. I think now it creates a little bit of doubt, and I think it brings with it baggage of, you know, a sour taste in some mouth of some individuals who might have previously went out and max bought the Vibes TGE. I also think that if you are dropping a token, those, again, not to make this PvP, I'm not doing that, but I like it at direct where I think it's easier, better long term for the token for it to open up low than this, you know, these multi-$100 million valuations to where there's not much else going on. It's likely down only, and then you get people underwater, and then you got, you know, Riggs used to use the word utility debt because people bought because expecting all this utility and in these collections, and that just dried up. And now it's like, okay, what I'm holding art. You also mentioned comics in passing. Makes me sad. So people shout out the hoodie and the abstract. I love it too. It's probably my favorite piece of NFT merch that I own. Brings me back to, man, like take me back to that moment. It was so much fun. So many exciting things going on in the space, and makes me sad that the one who leaned into the comic got a little over their skis, did way more than just the comic, and ultimately led to the demise. I'm sure there was a lot of mistakes along the way, but yeah, you probably can't see it back there, right in the middle between the Bape shoes box and the Gabe Weiss VCon 1 of 1 is the Punk Comic 1 that, man, I got so, like, I'm not even into comics, but it was like, that was, I onboarded one of my best friends into this space because of Punk Comic 1, because they were really into Marvel and MCU, and while they might have bought some Top Shot packs, they weren't like a sports card collector, but they loved the idea of, oh my gosh, I can, like, these CryptoPunks do take off, and I can get the first comic, like this is, they got it. And that ultimately led them to register in a few ENS domains, which led to a 5-figure airdrop. And sad, but no, I do love the hoodie. And I don't know, I'm sure comics are tough too. I'm not going to pretend to understand the comic business, but I do think there is now some baggage as it relates to the Burr brand because of how things have transpired over the past week that might lead into their next vibe drops. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope the thing cooks and they build the momentum back. It's just, man, what a tough week. And then part of it makes me like sad for future drops, like future TGs. There's supposed to be a lot of them. Like I don't even know if you're a team right now. What do you do? Do you ride out this market that potentially could get worse? Do you drop into it? I really don't know. I really don't know what I would do if I was in the shoes of like a MetaMask, an OpenSea, Mega ETH. Fill in the blank. There's a lot, 40 to 100 of them coming, presumably in 2026. I just don't know. We will talk. Any other thoughts on Burb? We can get it in here in the next 4 minutes or so, and I do want to move into a little conversation about just the market at large. Bitcoin. I alluded to Mr. Tom Lee and Bitmine. Silver and gold, and ultimately, how might we play this market while also protecting the downside risk if things do get worse? But Jack, Joey, Mosh, any other thoughts on Burb or this TG before we move on?
I was going to say, before we move on to Burb, I want to know a bit more about this Roadcaster, because you're making it sound a bit like a Nintendo cartridge where you've got to blow on it, turn it off, switch it back on again.
That's it. That's the that's the trick. Even we had an IT expert in the chat. Sean says, "Yep, works in IT," and that's still the number one fix to this day. Is always go for that first. Is the unplug?
Always blowing it. I get it. No, I actually sold Battletoads a few weeks ago because I'm having a clear out, right? And the guy messaged me. He was like, "It's not working." And I wrote back to him. I was like, "Have you tried blowing on it and then putting it back in?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay, send it back then."
Yep.
No, but
works on many things in life. Did not work on my shower. I tried blowing on the shower that exploded.
I remember those frustrations. No, I think we're at an interesting stage within Web3 right now. I mean, Jack touches a bit on the demographic of like token holders and what those token holders look like, and then Joey spoke a bit about the friction of claiming Burb as opposed to like maybe like the capacity to people wanting to actually claim it, as it were, like they're actively engaged. And I kind of feel like when it comes to Moonbirds, that I really do commend them for actively looking at different revenue streams to keep momentum going. I know Jack said earlier about like there's this degree of conducive or conditional success when it comes to whatever their ventures are, which is kind of a bit seat of your pants. Go on, mate. Sorry. Yeah, I was going to say it is kind of a bit of a seat of your pants approach, but I just think when we look at things like TCG, collectibles, blind box mechanics, I think that's certainly up and coming. I don't know whether there'll be a long tail in it, and I have said previously that I really do feel at this moment of time that nostalgia is a business model, and people releasing these products. They're obviously trying to create momentum within their brand, and like I say, I really commend projects for doing that. And I kind of feel as though when you look at the TGE, have you got the same people that are actually actively engaging with Burb, the token, as would be the collectible aspect or angle. When you look at like Whatnot and people running for chase cards and things like that. And I think also when Joey mentioned a bit about the licensing and then reapproaching that, and I think what we've seen previously, it should sort of teach us maybe a bit of a tentative approach maybe from Moonbirds, because I know they switched out from offering exclusive IP rights to their holders to then becoming Creative Commons like almost overnight, which was a bit of a backstep. So I think people might be a bit hesitant towards the licensing framework as an approach. But I think it's clearly, I think that they're dipping their toe in all sorts of dipping their toe in different pies, but got their fingers in all different pies, however you want to frame it. They're certainly trying very, very hard. I don't actually think I don't actually feel as though the projects are forcing the drawbacks here. I actually think it's everyone else. I'm struggling at the moment when it comes to the current people that operate within Web3, where their current preferences lie. So like, we previously had like, the meme coin market, which was the big boom. And now we've seen this sort of flow towards collectibles. And it's kind of like, yeah, I understand that. And it's all got these streams of, sort of gambling mechanics that sort of wind through all of those things. And so I'm personally having difficulty to figure out, like who is the customer base that you're trying to operate towards, and how do you, actively, organically monopolize from those things? So those are my considerations.
Yeah, fair. I honestly think a lot of these PFP brands that go to market with not just the token, but I think a lot of it, the valuation of the token at launch is baked into more adoption outside of crypto, and I just don't think it's happening for the most part. I think you do. There's real network effects here. You can get real support from the trenches, real support from your your major supporters. And often these things come out and they're valued as if they were some mainstream product, and that's just not the case. It's just not found product market fit beyond crypto. And for most, not all, but most have not grown outside the space, but yet they're valued in the hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, and it's not baked in any sort of reality, and therefore likely leads to number going down once the initial speculation and hype subsides. Here is shifting a little bit into, I mentioned at the top, the markets, not just Bitcoin and crypto, but this was a post from Gum earlier this morning. Silver did a 6.6x from the 22 bottom. Bitcoin did a 7.8x from the 22 bottom. Silver dumped 40% in 5 days after reaching the top. Well, Bitcoin took 4 months to do the same. Hindsight isn't even that bad. It's bad, but I can appreciate it's not that bad. He also added this chart. First time in history that Solana has had 4 red monthly candles in a row. Didn't even happen during FTX. Statistically, this month should be green. Just wild times in the space where majors just continue to get beat up. And even when there's a little bit of hope, they're making new lower lows. Tough time to be in the market. So if you are trading, make sure you're doing so responsibly. Make sure that you're not walking away from your computer, especially if you have longs or, like I said, even shorts open, because things are moving. It's chop, but things are moving violently in both directions. And I don't know what changes the current trend. I know there's a lot of macro stuff from geopolitical and Iran tensions to still looming stuff from Venezuela and Greenland. And you also have the Epstein files, which took over the timeline over the weekend. Seems to be more than that. I'm not a macro expert, not going to claim to be one, nor am I a geopolitical expert, but just seems like, I don't know, maybe some will say the 4-year cycle's over. Sailor once again somehow did it again. Top blasted. I think even someone called this last week. It was I don't know, one of the CT personalities when Bitcoin was crashing said Sailor's buying Bitcoin right now at 87. Sure enough, he did. They acquired 73 million last week at $87,000 per Bitcoin. It's about 77,000 today. So as of 2/1, as of yesterday, they hold 713,000 Bitcoin acquired for 76,000 per Bitcoin. So still above the Mendoza line, but barely holding on. And I also wanted to show the ETH strategy, ETH strategic reserve. The DAT's not doing great. We'll look here at DATs with ETH coming in at 2416. Bitmine, I guess on the bright side, they hold 3.51% of the supply. Makes it the stated goal is to get to 5% of the supply. A little easier to get there at 2,400 ETH than it is $4,000 ETH. They did continue to buy. You can see the only active strategic ETH reserve that bought in the month of January was Bitmine. The only one that's bought since December 21st is Bitmine. Aave DAO bought 9,000 ETH on December 21st. There was 69, so one of them has fallen off. There's still 68 entities on the strategic ETH reserve. Bitmine, though, far and away sitting on 4.2 million ETH, which is over $10 billion. And as we mentioned, is taking a massive 6.9 million unrealized, but 6.9 million down. If you look at the treasuries, they're still sitting on almost $750 million in cash, but down pretty bad. ETFs, we had outflows on the 29th, on the 30th. This does lag a little bit. I'm guessing we'll see outflows again today with trading open. But like I said, it's not just ETH, it's not just Bitcoin. Gold, I think it's safe to say it's worst sell-off ever. Same thing with silver. Now, granted, it was following massive rips up, but market's just getting crushed. Mosher, go ahead, get back in here, and then we will keep things moving.
Yeah, it's interesting because you make a good point about what's driving that price action across those commodities, because I think I've always found this difficult within Web3 because you try and find social, political, economical events that sort of line up with whatever's going on in the markets. I've got no idea, and so I think it's my own, when there was that Bitcoin pullback late last year, people were prophesizing that it was all these long-term Bitcoin holders that were now monopolizing on like new entrants into the space, like people that have been holding sort of like, I don't know, less than 3 years or something. But no one was really too sure. And I think to see this again, amongst the commodities market is again quite an interesting thing because, we did previously see when it came to gold, when it reached all-time highs, people were queuing outside of banks, weren't they, to try and purchase gold. But again, I mean, it's just, I rack my brain about this because, without knowing the market, you can't predict it and you can't necessarily play, competently within it. So you make a good point. Basically, it's me moaning.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. All I know is there is money to be made in every market. Sometimes it's shorting, sometimes it's long, sometimes it's just DCAing into into markets and buying, like, fear and greed at 15 is historically a pretty good time to buy. It doesn't feel great right now because of the unknown. I don't know what else to share on the market, although I will say it's not lost on me that hype is holding. And hey, is it crushing it? No, but in a market where everything else is getting crushed, hype is holding. We saw memes. The trenches seemingly might be a little back. I'm not saying they are, and again, those pumps can be short-lived. But I think back to 2021, the summer of 2021 specifically, and people were making money hand over fist in NFTs, and majors were pulling back 40, 50%. Like Bitcoin was crashing, ETH was crashing. A lot of people were just, I don't know, too distracted on the NFT mania to pay too much attention to it. And I'm not saying this is good for alts, but the activity in the trenches it seems to be back. The AI Claude took over the timeline. It's still on the timeline, but drew a focus back to agents. I look at something like BankerBot, and Banker is, shout out to Meta8 and our BankerBot fans in the audience. This could go to zero. It's a low. I mean, the market cap on this thing is 1.2 million, but you can see what it's done in the last. Wait, is this the original? I may make sure I have the right token. Yeah, no, wrong token. Sorry, excuse me. This is Banker on Sol. This is not the main BankerBot, which is on. This was just created 6 hours ago, so it is up, but it's not the BankerBot. I thought it was a higher market cap than that. I need to do a little more research to find out why. I'm guessing was launched by OX Deployer and the Banker team on Solana, but maybe different liquidity pools. Not certain. If anyone does know, we can come back to that. But bigger point being is the trenches, their pairs graduating is peaking. The runners are peaking. First it was the Penguin, and there's been several daily runners. I saw, I know a guy Crocs who stays pretty dialed in there on the FOMO app and in the trenches as soon as he starts taking profits, he'll have done very well. But he's run up some large balances in the trenches as of late, and it seems to be that there's been a little bit of a rebound there in the alts, in the memes, and I don't know. It's maybe it's a reach here to compare what we're seeing right now in the meme streets to 2021 NFT mania. I know that's a reach, but my bigger point being is that even when macro is not great, when majors bleed out, if there's things happening, if there's attention, it oh my goodness, I just found the tweet I was talking about. Sorry for the distraction here, but it was Icebergy that I must have saw this in passing, and apparently X just heard me say this a minute ago, and its next post is sort of up on my timeline. January 31st, 3:28 p.m. He says, Sailor buying $88,000 Bitcoin right now. And sure enough, impressive, he says, because Sailor just announced he bought Bitcoin at 87,974. Almost called it to a T. All-time tweet there. It's not got only 11,000 views. That deserves to go viral today. I say that, and it's like this happens almost every time, which also is somewhat concerning that buys keep happening. There is still a lot of tailwinds, a lot of things to be excited about, and yet seemingly number just keeps going down. It's like, buy the dips. Like, with what do I have left? I kept buying the dip and it keeps dipping. That meme. Yeah. So anyways, go ahead and get back in your Mosher, and then I've got a few other things we'll hit on this morning. Might get out of here a little early today, but appreciate everyone who's adding to the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you make some good points. I mean, I just, people are like, I'm grateful enough to be surrounded by some real big eggheads and veterans in the space, and they're, talking about summoning in the next bear cycle, and I just can't see it. They're, and they've got good logic behind their prophecy in that, because they're like, well, look, it's breaking the 50. When you look at Bitcoin, they say, well, look at the 50-week weighted moving average is broken twice, but I can't, I just don't see it anymore. Like, it doesn't make, I mean, I say it tentatively anyway, right? But like logical sense, because like when you look at the administration currently in place, when you look at institutional adoption and their headlines and developments within the space, and those bounds forward, it just, I can't help but feel like, I just don't, I mean, it's never financial advice, but, Bitcoin at 20K, I can't see it happening. I don't feel that way at all. I think we've just got these original initial pullbacks, and I think it's just all, it just all is all steam ahead.
Yeah, I hope it's all steam ahead.
It can't not be. I'm like, I can't. This is the thing. I get very enthusiastic about the markets, but I'm just like, it doesn't. I could say, well, it doesn't make sense. But usually, you'll make these predictions, and then the complete opposite happens, and so it's so hard to figure out what's coming next.
Yeah. What might be coming next is hard pivot here, but what might be coming next is the robots. I saw a funny post. I'll go find it in a second. But someone said, Matrix introduced us. That the bad guys were agents. This I don't know, when Matrix came out 25 years ago. And now we've created the agents. It's not, I don't know how we got here, but yes, Matrix said the agents were the bad people. And now in the 2026, we're all excited to be helping agents proliferate the timeline. I'm trying to search for the original post, because there's a lot of people that are just like always on X. They're copying.
Have you seen that robot? I can't remember the brand, but they try and showcase it to like a New York reporter, and then it tries to load the dishwasher with like a knife. And like, it literally looks like, the equivalent of like a 4-year-old toddler trying to it's so funny. So I can't remember what the brand is, but like it's coated in like almost like a wool or a cotton weave. And if you haven't seen it, I can't remember the brand, but I don't feel like necessarily the robots are going to take over just yet. But I always do feel like, I don't know about you, but like whenever I'm using any large language model, I always say please and thank you, right? Just in case it remembers, like, do you remember me? If they do ever take over, I want those read receipts on, so that they remember me for being so polite.
Yeah, I don't always use please and thank you, but I'd like to say I definitely skewed towards the friendlier side when it comes to the robots. And this was the post. ILMOI. When you realize the Matrix called the bad guys agents, in 25 years, we literally invented them. Not great. Not great. I still remain the optimist regarding the future robot overlords, and they'll be on our side, protective of us humans. And Sean says, feel personally attacked, pointing out the Matrix almost 27 years ago. Wow, feels so old. Yeah, same. Yeah. oh no, please and thank you slows it down and uses more energy. So this is like, there's the counter. Saucy Saucier says that's the counter. You don't want to be saying please and thank you. You're just using credits and using more energy that's not necessary. So be succinct, be really quick and short and just blunt and candid with your robots to help them save energy and credits. We joke, but Tom Lee just bought another 41,000 ETH worth 97 million. He is buying the dip. Good to see. And yeah, I'm a perma optimist by nature, but the markets have me a little confused, and it's violent in all directions seemingly. Here is the latest from Tom himself. Let me pull this up and I will share with all of you here. Tom has this to say. Bitmine provided an update on ETH and its cash holdings. As they note, there is zero debt, 4.3 million ETH staking rewards at 2.81% or better. This is also, I feel, part of the problem with ETH. I don't understand the tokenomics well enough, but I feel it would be performing better if two things. One, and I know it changed recently with some of the recent update to where ETH is making more fees than some of the L2s, but that relationship's always felt way too one-sided to me, meaning it was just the L2s were getting rich and ETH wasn't breaking hardly anything in fees. 2.81%, not great. I mean, you can earn far more than that on stables right now. Why would you put that capital at risk for ETH staking at just 2.81%? You can earn more in probably some fiat bank accounts at this moment. 586 million of cash earning money market yields at 3.5 to 3.9%. So again, they're cash earning more than their staked ETH. And company built to ride out ETH and crypto volatility. This is great. It is earning income daily, also great. And the fact that they're not leveraged. It's they zero debt, so they don't have to become a forced sell. That was the question I asked this morning. What happens if Bitmine becomes a forced seller? Would be concerning. But they have no debt. There really isn't. They don't have to be a forced seller. They do have the 10.7 billion in total crypto plus moonshots. That's a lot of ETH. Apparently 4.2 million at 23.17 on Coinbase. So that's the current value. They've got 193 Bitcoin. They've got 200 million stake in Beast Industries, Mr. Beast, and they got 19 million stake in 8Co Holdings, which is moonshots, and total cash of 586 million. So I do think it's good that they're diversified a little bit while continuing to buy ETH. This makes me feel better than some of the DATs that are just trying to play the lever up game, and that is just scary. That is a ticking time bomb, a house of cards, whatever you call it. He goes on to say the balance sheet of Bitmine, or this is the Bitmine account here. He goes on to say it's noted above with the holdings we just mentioned. He then again, Tom just tweeted this out as well in terms of what they're earning on those holdings. And then as of February 1st, their staked ETH increases. It's an increase of, that's in the past week. Total staked ETH by week. You can see the number has went up from December 28th to 24. It was about 408,000 ETH. We're now up over 2 million. And this is just the portion of the 4.2 million ETH held by Bitmine. The composite Ethereum staking rate administered by Portfolio is 2.81%. Bitmine's working with 3 staking providers as the company moves towards unveiling its commercial Made in America validator network in 2026. I guess since we're going to talk about Made in America, good time to maybe also mention some other not great news when we talk of the geopolitical stuff and the macro stuff. Up here, we just got disclosed that make sure I don't want to misspeak on this. Not my area of expertise, but let me pull it up. Sorry, 500 million, I think, was the amount into World Liberty Financial from it was the UAE Royal paid 49%, paid 500 million for 49% stake in World Liberty Financial. I don't know. I was trying to find one post. This post says the rig to the upside. Try to find more actual, instead of just commentary, I'm trying to find some actual data on it, but Abu Dhabi Royals vehicle snapped up nearly half of Trump's crypto project in a $500 million deal in the days before Trump took office. I don't know. Maybe it's all, hopefully all in the up and up. It just, needless to say, doesn't look great when people are buying such a massive stake in the incoming president's crypto portfolio or crypto company. I also don't know why it just came out now. This would have been like a year ago. Why it's just now coming to light, I have no idea. And then it was also like if you want to go deep into the, I don't want to say conspiracy lanes or go down those rabbit holes, a lot of, there was, to what level, I don't know, but a lot of Epstein involvement in early Bitcoin and Zcash, and a lot of, I hesitate even saying names because I just don't know. And I know you see a lot of stuff on X, all these are from the files, and I don't know if any of it's true. Unless you're going to go actually look at the files yourself, even those could be doctored. I really don't trust or believe anything. Certainly nothing I see on this app, because it's so easy to fake stuff. I could have faked the shower exploding. I didn't. It was real. But my bigger point being is like, it's so easy to create not just fake documents, but you can create fake videos, and who's going to know the difference? It's really a, it's a really, really interesting time. And on many fronts, I also would like to think that a lot of this stuff, a lot of these backroom deals have been taking place for probably all of humanity. And because we live in the day of the information age, we now become privy to a lot of this stuff, sometimes sooner than later. And I'm not excusing anything that's happened. Makes you feel like you really, if anyone's out there saying they know exactly what's going to happen with any markets, like, they're just making it up. Unless they're in many of the backroom deals and they know it's about to drop. It's just like seems to be levers that are pulled from many fronts, and I don't know. The lack of certainty I have any direction right now. Like, maybe it's bottom, maybe we go a lot lower from here. I will say CryptoPunks are like a 62K USD. Historically, at least in the last few cycles, their floor has been like 50, and then it bounces, and then it pulls the rest of the NFT market up with them. I'm not a buyer here. I wish I was a little more liquid. I might be considering a buyer at 50K, but I may actually make a move on a V1 punk if things keep dipping a little bit. It's one I've had my eyes on for a while. I see Nervy jump up stage. Nervy, I think first time caller. Welcome to the stage. What brought you up this morning?
Yo, Jim, and thanks for having me. Actually, it's first time I'm attending on your spaces. So I was listening the part that you said that actually we don't have any idea of the market direction. This is exactly what I'm thinking about it, and I'm analyzing it with myself. Because all we have to analyze the market is the past market data itself. And so with past market data, I think in previous cycles we had like euphoria, we had alt season, we had such kind of things. I believe we didn't have such thing in this cycle yet, but though it still looks like we're entering a bear market, and it can bounce back, and it's like no one have no freaking idea what's gonna happen. There's a lot of scenarios, and we have no fucking idea what's going to happen. I would like to know what is your actually scenario for this. Would love to know it.
What's my scenario in terms of like how am I playing this market?
Yep.
I am watching. I am not making any big moves right now. I may make some very deliberate moves. I mentioned, we had the Burb chart pulled up earlier, and it just seems to me that the market makers are protecting the 200 million FTV floor. That's seems to be, I mean, since the 30th, seems to be pretty consistent. Every time it touches 200 million, it gets bought up. So if they introduce perps on Hyperliquid or Lighter or one of these other non-MEX perp dexes, I may just, I mean, those are very, very, very short-term trades. So like within the day, for sure. I'm not going to bed with anything open. I may look to explore some new protocols. I may look to, I'm not saying farm, but I may go to this like what is out there that interests me and I can get active in. Otherwise, it's just I'm not selling here. I'm not capitulating because I don't know. Like, could things get worse? Yeah, but it's also pretty bad right now, and I can't. I'm not going to sell anything in a market where fear and greed is 15. That's just, you buy rips, you sell dips. And so while I'm not flush with dry powder to be buying a lot of dips, I also am not selling. What I will look to do is maybe do a little bit of trading, things that I feel I might have even a slight edge in. Something like, again, the Burb chart we just showed, it's could be wrong, but it looks to me like 200 million is the floor, so I might trade that. It's a week away, but Mega ETH launches their mainnet next on the 9th. Something I'm passionate about. I invested. I do a little Fluffle and got in their one of their ICO rounds. And so I've said for a while I'm going to be active on there. I plan to continue that. And actually, I think when markets are like this, it's sometimes easier just to not trade like you might be trading in when markets are just ripping, but rather do some deep dives. I think back, I mentioned 2021, and when the market was not great, I was playing a lot of Zed Run, the digital horse game, breeding horses and selling horses. And just, I got a deep understanding of that game and put myself in a plus EV position and did pretty well despite market conditions. And so that's, I think, how I'm playing, is looking for where are there hyper niche spots, maybe where spots that aren't getting a ton of attention. Hyperliquid just announced they're going to launch a native prediction market. That's something I'll play around with. I'm already on there. I also mess around in the Kalshi and Poly Market Street, so I will explore Hyperliquid a bit. They also did just combine I've been beating them up on their UI UX for a while. Just saw, I don't know if it's done yet, but they're going to be combining their spot markets and perp markets portion of their of their platform. I think that's a small but a good win, good move. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question at all, but looking for really hyper niche spots, things that, and hey, maybe it's nothing in the market at all. Maybe you do put your head down and you get whether you get a Mac Mini and do the Claudebot route, or just lean into AI and learn as much as you can. I mean, there's some things we're working on with Coffee with Captain with the show, some things that we have a big to-do list. And so probably how I'm playing the market is less, and putting more time where I might be an hour or two out of the day where I'm clicking buttons. Maybe that goes down to like 20 minutes, and that extra hour and 45 minutes becomes doing something for the show and the business that would have taken me 3 days. Now it's going to take me an afternoon. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. Actually, the part that you said, I'm not definitely selling here. This is what I was looking for, because surely you might have holding already something. So what do you think right here, that what's going to happen? Lower bear market for 2 years, or bounce back maybe? So I think most people not selling here. Actually, about the Moonbirds, the Burb, I had a question. Do you think, because Burbs, it was, I think, the only token recently launching, and does have an airdrop, and not instantly dumping, and not going below the TG open price. Do you think that they were planned this to not open the claim page, so they can pump the price maybe? Because I think if it was, I think it was really wise move, because it was a win-win for everyone. It was a more allocation for holders, or whatever it is, and the marketing was amazing. They allocated SPTs to Kaito users, means more attention, more eyes on your TGE, people coming, watching your TG for the $4, for the $5, and they might ape in. I think it was a great move by them. Though I still believe that it was planned to not open the claim page on the TG day. So what do you think about this?
I don't know. I mean, I saw a lot of people like, hey, this was with intent. The delay, the Binance Alpha people got their tokens first, and the claim was delayed, and then delayed again. I don't think it was with intent because it even once they went live with it, there was still a lot of issues, and I think I don't know if it wasn't proper stress testing. If they did do proper stress testing and then just they got hit with some curveballs and unknown, I really don't know what happened, but I don't think it was with intent. And I don't know if it's necessarily a net positive either. I think a lot of people have turned. A lot of people have, even if they're still holding their tokens, even if they're nesting their tokens, I think a lot of them maybe have lost. And I think I used the word last week. They just, even if they're still holding, if they're still supporting, they become apathetic to the brand, and that maybe is worse. I saw a lot of people that were big fans, big Burb fans when Spencer took over and bull posting almost every day. I'm not seeing that hardly at all anymore. And I think there is still some hopium that this thing turns around, but I think in hindsight, it's easy for me to Monday morning quarterback today. I get that. I've not done what they've done, not even close. And so who am I to say? But I think in hindsight, I don't know if the SBTs played out. I think it was really drawn out. I think that was part of what started getting people to turn, is it just seemed like it was going on forever. And you look at the holder count, there's only 14,000 holders of the Burb token compared to Pingu, which dropped on Sol and was one of the, hey, we want everyone to get this token. There's like over 500,000 holders of Pingu. So I think from an execution standpoint, the results show that even, I know Pingu's been out a lot longer. I'm pretty sure like on TGE day, they were over 100,000 holders. So just that part of wider distribution, which is what you want, it worked for Pingu, didn't work really well for, at least hasn't yet. And I just don't know. I don't know, man. You see so many of these, I pulled up the numbers earlier. I'll see if I can go find it again. The amount of holders that haven't claimed yet, it's a large amount. It's like 35% of Moonbirds have claimed. So like more than 65% or 65% still haven't claimed yet. That's not great. I think it also leads to additional sell pressure. And I don't know. I hope things turn around for them. I think the tech, whether it was with intent or not, I tend to lean it was not with intent. I think they just ran into some bugs. I don't think it necessarily was great. Did the price pump in the short term? Yeah, but it's really just sold off since, and it is holding that 200 million. But I think that's just market makers doing their thing, and eventually they run out of funds. So I really don't know. I don't know where it goes from here. I think there's hopefully they've got some other activation, something else they can drop, something else to get some excitement, some momentum back. Because as of now, even all their loyal supporters, some that have been around since Mint, have kind of lost. This was like this is finally our moment, and then things haven't went great. So yeah, I did nest or played the Burb game with the Slowbound tokens, and I only had a single mythic, so it was like 108 tokens, and I didn't care to sell for lunch. I just decided to. Actually, I didn't know I was staking those, but I did the claim and stake all in one swoop, and so I'm writing it out. I'm reading for them, but I don't have a lot of confidence that it. I don't know where they go from here, and more concerning is I actually think it will potentially negatively impact their brand. Like if they do a Vibes TCG with Moonbirds, I think they're going to have less buyers now than they might have had, and I'm not saying they blew their shot on like the vinyls, but hard for me, and it's really hard for me to envision them doing any drop, whether it be vinyls or a TCG right now, and generating $2 million plus in revenue. I think a lot of those buyers aren't going to buy again. I think a lot of them probably bought because they believe token allocation was coming. Now, I guess what they do have going for them is they've got a lot of Burb they held back. It's just now that it's live, you can see the numbers. Like people will do math. Like it's not a lot of the speculation subsides when the token goes live, and I think it's an uphill battle. So I hope it doesn't impact their plan, their business, and how they're building. But I have a feeling it does, at least to some degree. Whether it's less trust in the builders, the team, like, oh, this team can't miss, to where this team missed now. They got an L. And if anyone who's been in business, they book some L's. It's like, what do they learn from this and how do they respond? That's what I'll be watching. Like, what transpires in the next month? How does the team move? I think for a while post acquisition, Spencer was moving really well, and then lost the motion. And maybe it was the soulbound tokens drug on so long. Maybe it was the market conditions. I don't really know. Hard to pinpoint. But I don't think TGE has done anything to help them regain motion yet at this point. But hopefully there's something else to come. Your thoughts?
Actually, I think they have already kind of saved the collection with buying it, with acquiring it. Moonbears, for me, look like have an abandoned collection in before, but after they acquiring it, Spencer, I think they are trying their best. They are keep building it. I have been watching it. I have been watching the floor. It was going up. It was kind of reminding me of the Lucanauts acquiring the Project Penguins. It's been a long, but what they have been building, what they have been doing, it kind of worked at the end. And so about the token, it's a crazy condition. You mentioned 65% of the holders haven't claimed their allocation. It's crazy. I don't know how is this possible. It's a free money for you there. You haven't claimed it yet. I don't know how even is it possible, but surely when they claim, it's more sell pressure. But at the end, I think this new team and the way they are building, I think at the end it will work. So this is what I think about the members. I'm not much included with them. I'm not a holder, but from someone looking at it from outside of it, I see the team is working. I see the team is trying their best. But yeah, that's what I think about it.
Yeah. Again, rooting for the team. I hope they. I hope things do well. In the meantime, I will. I'll play the Burb game. Hopefully, my two picks win, and I end up doubling my Burb, because I have a feeling that token price does not hold. Speaking of tokens, shout out to B Epic, who tipped with the big Retspa tip over there. Greatly appreciate that. He added, I think the SBT felt like farming. I agree. I felt like I was being farmed, and I don't know if it did anything for him other than turn some people off. Like, I just, especially now, and again, hindsight's 2020. Really easy for me to say this today. They did something new. They did something novel. They did something different. I'm not saying SBTs were new, but it was new approach to have so many of them go so wide, do all those, and that stuff doesn't just happen, right? Like, from Kaido to CoinMarketCap and Solana and everyone they work, like, there's a lot of biz dev that goes into those meetings, those calls. Like, it takes a lot of work. I respect that and I appreciate that. I just don't think it had the intended effect. I think the intended effect was to get a lot more wallets, get a lot more holders, to grow the ecosystem without having to launch a fourth collection. And when you see 14,000 holders, I don't think that was the case. And I think sometimes less is more. I think, again, I'm trying to be kind, because it's very easy for me to say this, and it's easy to be critical of any token in this market, especially one that tried to do some things differently. They had some technical issues and things didn't go perfectly. So, with all due respect to Spencer and the team, not only do I not think it grew their holder base or grew their ecosystem, I think by diluting the amount of Burb tokens that could have went to their holders, I think you lose some of them. Like, I don't know the exact math. I think it was a small percentage, but there's also, it's not just the actual reality of what happened. It's what is the perception. And I feel the perception of many holders is that because they went so wide with these claims, and everyone who was active online, if you wanted to go claim a soulbound token, you could, and you could get some Burb token, and Binance Alpha holders get Burb token, and they got theirs first. So now all of a sudden it's like this whole game of alignment, which I think is so critically important for the NFT native IPs to show alignment again and again and again with their holder base. It just doesn't feel aligned. It doesn't feel. It feels like the Burb token immediately became the top of the pedestal in terms of the ecosystem. And I'm not saying that Moonbirds and Mythics and oddities aren't important, but they're not as important as the token. And I actually agree with that from a business standpoint. The business, Orange Cap, isn't going to benefit hardly at all if the Moonbird floor goes from 1 ETH to 5 ETH. They'll benefit a lot if the token price goes from 200 million to $1 billion. So I fully understand why they would put their priority towards a token. It just feels dilutive when you get 14,000 holders, half of them could go claim a Happy Meal worth of Burb token. It may not sound like a lot, but if you add all that up, maybe every Burb actual Moonbird holder got an extra $1,000. Like, that's real money. Like, I'm making these numbers. I don't know. I've not done the math, but I think, well, I understand the intent and the why behind it. I don't, in hindsight, I don't think it necessarily worked. Catching up with the chat here, still have to claim Burb for buying the vinyls. Someone asked earlier, how much do we know? I don't know exactly how much was allocated to the vinyls, but I do believe it was a substantial amount because the soulbound tokens were so low. The soulbound tokens were like 15, 20 Burb token. It was all blended though, so I don't know if we've seen a clear report yet, other than how much you got for owning a Mythic or an Oddity or a Burb, or OG Moonbird. I got 999 Burb token, and I only had like 3 or 4 soulbound tokens in that Solana wallet. So that tells me about 900 maybe were a result of the vinyls. I bought a 12-pack. And then the rest of SketchUp is on the cold and Super Bowl coming next Sunday. That's actually, Nervy, you asked the question earlier, what I'm doing to trade this market if I'm not actively doing something else, if I'm not building something or in another, maybe a little bit of dabbling online, but reality, it's probably what player props can I get in on for the Super Bowl that I feel I might have a good chance of hitting. I'll be drafting some way too early best ball for 2026 because I feel I have an edge this season because most people, especially during Super Bowl week, there'll be people that'll just simply do a draft to kill time while they're waiting for the Super Bowl and have no clue about the rookie class. And I did very well last year in they call it the big board on Underdog for, the pre-NFL draft best ball. Again, this is way too early, and you should not get in those streets right now if you have no clue about the rookie draft and who might go where and in the free agent class, because you're at your negative EV against people like myself and others that are way too deep in the NFL streets. But because I am one of those individuals that's way too deep in the NFL streets, I feel I have an edge there. So that's I guess the TLDR is I am looking for where can I get it in plus EV. It's like I've always traded I swing for asymmetrical gains, and while I trade in buckets, so I don't tap into like I said, I'm not selling, I'm not liquidating any long-term hold positions. My trading bucket, while the dry powder has gotten liquidated a few times and it's less than what I would like it to be right now, I'll be taking that to where I think I can find edge, where I think I have edge, and if I'm right, it could make up for some L's. So right now, that's the best ball streets. May not be the most exciting. It's also way too far off. And when I say like deep in I'm playing like $3 drafts. So they've got a 20 max entry. So like at most, I'll max out the $3 draft. I'll have $60 at risk. It's not, again, it's more like I enjoy it and I'm good at it and playing the game to get a shipper next year. But way too off in the future. I wish there was, I don't know. I may have to start paying attention a little bit to baseball. I think pitchers and catchers report here soon. And if markets are going to continue to do this, I may shift back into the DFS / best ball streets where I came from. But I don't know. Anything else that you're looking at that I'm missing? Anything I didn't hit on this morning?
Well, I think it was all complete. I think on your side, I believe you explained everything, but also I believe when it's such market conditions, the best time for building and what you want to do this on this market. Personally, a kind of market also forces you to touch the grass, and it's. I think it's all good. Personally, I'm more going to the gym, more hanging out with friends, and more feeling better nowadays in terms of going out, touching grass, and all of this. So I believe if you are doing something that you believe in it and you know you will make it, it's just a matter of time. Might someone needs to hear this on the audience. If you are doing something you believe it will happen and you will make it, don't bother you with the prices or market dumping or all of this. Keep doing what you do. Stay your mind away from your wallet, the market dumping. Just keep what you're doing, and you will make it one day. It's just a matter of time. If it's a bear market now for like 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, if you're doing the right thing, then for the next cycle you will make it, and you will make it much better than this. And personally, yeah, I'm kind of started doing some stuff that I've been planning for a while now. Content creating, more into content creating, video contents, clipping, all this stuff, planning for it. I'm doing it. More gym, more touching the grass, but also not missing the building, not missing the working, but it's just more relaxing, because when it's a good market condition, there's a lot of things around and you can't miss on them. It's like missing on the money, missing on what you can earn. But when all things goes kind of quiet, you have more time for anything that you want to do, you love to do. So also this is what's going on my side. I don't know how it sounds to you.
Yep, nope. I think that's real alpha. Touch some grass. Go get, if you're not active, get active. Learn a new skill. Maybe it's how to eat healthy. Maybe it's learning how to cook better, or like if the gym and lifting weights isn't your thing, do some cardio. It is, even if the weather is cold, there's go plow some. So I don't know. Go do something to keep busy. That's not just, if you're not sure what to do in the market, the one thing that's probably not healthy is to just stare at X all day and commiserate over number going down. Also, breaking news, not necessarily breaking, but I just saw the post, so it's breaking in my brain, is that we actually get an extra 77 minutes of daylight over the course of next month. February was the perfect month. We get it once every few hundred years, I think, but the month started on a Sunday, and so you get 4 perfect weeks, Sunday through Saturday, the perfect month of February, and by the end of the month, we'll have an extra, almost an extra hour and a half of daylight. Hopefully, the weather warms up a little bit as well, and with it, the market starts to warm up as well. But again, no one really knows what's happening. Things are pretty volatile. So if you are trading, if you are looking for places to deploy capital, do so with short-term timelines. Do so knowing the risk, and maybe look at learning some new skills. Maybe it's go find yourself a good stable farm on place you can earn some extra yield, and maybe farm a new protocol. Maybe go explore a new dApp, or as I mentioned, I'm going to be diving deep into Mega ETH on the 9th when it launches. And I think when markets are like this, if you're looking to, not sure what to buy or what to sell, go explore something new. Go learn a new skill. Maybe it's AI. Go jump in the AI streets, and even if you're not going to go the Claude bot route, just spend an extra, whatever time you've been spending trading, spend that time in Claude and learn some new skills. I'm near certain that's not going anywhere, and likely will help you continue to grow in your career, whether it helps you with the markets or not. And then lastly, those Hype 4 on Hyperliquid, those prediction markets are going to get enabled along with options. I'm excited to see what comes of that. We have another friend of the show going to be doing some things, leveling up their prediction market game here soon. Excited to share that with all of you. And we'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully a warmer day on all fronts, both in terms of market as well as the weather. But and again, it's okay to just check out for a bit. Just don't leave. I think that's the biggest takeaway. Is a lot of people you'll see a lot of especially if this is an extended period of like down or extended period of chop, like people will just leave, and maybe they come back. Maybe they come back after things are ripping. But by usually by the time it makes it to quote unquote retail, the major pumps, the major opportunity to stack some serious wealth has, and I'm saying it's evaporated, but you miss the big moves. So don't go anywhere. You don't have to be trading every day, but pay attention. We'll do our best to bring opportunities to you here on the show. We do have some new exciting stuff we're going to be sharing with you all in the near future. One I'm pretty excited about. I'm not going to tease it much more until we and actually do the announcement, but some new stuff, something that maybe is an area that some of you will get excited about exploring. That's not directly tied to majors or macro conditions. So looking forward to some new stuff, and I'm hopeful that I will say they say builders build in the bear, and if this does stay depressed for a while, we might see some new novel things on chain, and certainly here for that. So appreciate everyone who joined in today. Appreciate all of our guest speakers. Appreciate everyone that shouted us out in the audience. All those repost bookmarks, those YouTube subs go a long way and are greatly appreciated. That is pinned up top. If you've not yet headed over there, go check us out. The newsletter came out on Saturday. We do that just once a week. You can join that at coffeewithcaptain.com. And we don't spam you, just one a week, but it does help us out tremendously. The open rate is going up substantially here in the new year, and not going unnoticed. So maybe we tie in our community member of the month somewhere in the newsletter here this month. But again, shout out to Katie, our first ever community member of the month. Well earned, well deserved, and appreciate Katie as well as all of you out there each and every day. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern time. As Steve would say, hope you all have a wonderful day, everyone.